Good morning. Welcome back to Daybreak. It's now 37 minutes past 6 o'clock or 23 minutes to 7 o'clock. We'll shortly be bringing you the latest on as far as the stories that you're following for you today. As soon as we have that, we'll be in a position to bring you, but also to introduce the conversation this morning where we are speaking to the first governor of Kiambu County. He insists that you have to refer to him as so. That is Governor William Kabogo. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. So, of course, we're still waiting for the woman representatives from Homa Bay, Kiambu, as well as this county of Uasin Gishu to join us shortly. But as that happens, I want us to begin by looking at the situation that we know. Just a few minutes ago, we ran the story of Governor Muthomi Njuki, who spent the night in police cells. Is expected to be arraigned today. And Governor, I want to pick your mind in what has been happening, because so far we have 4 governors that have been barred from accessing offices, never mind that one of them was impeached and he comes from your county. So talking about the Samburu governor, Nairobi, the governor of Migori, the former governor of Kiambu, Ferdinand Waititu, and now Muthomi Njuki is heading to the court, likely to be barred from office because of the charges that are facing him. What do you think in the actions that are being taken by the courts these days when it comes to chief executive officers of counties being barred from accessing their offices?
I mean, if you try and put a balance to what is happening, you will find it's reasonable to bar people from going to office for one reason only, and that's my thinking. For the simple reason that if there are witnesses that are likely to be called from the county, and the county executive is in office, then you definitely imagine that they would are most likely to interfere with witnesses. But that notwithstanding, the court should be able to do the hearings of these cases in a minimum record time of 2 months, so that you do not interrupt service delivery in the counties. But that is something, that's a balance that is difficult to, knowing our courts, knowing our behavior. If it's business as usual, then you are guaranteed, if you're removed 3 years to the end of the term, you will never see your office again, which is unfortunate in my thinking.
Right. And of course, we are seeing the complications occurring in Migori County. We are seeing the ODM party taking a position and instructing the MCAs to go ahead and take that action. Do you think it's in order for a political party to take such a position to the extent of instructing members of a county assembly that are duly elected
Again, my thinking would be twofold, would be a double-edged sword. Because if really you are behaving in a manner that jeopardizes the reputation of the party, then the party would have a right to recall you. On the other hand, if it's interference because you do not adhere or you do not follow, the guidelines that you're given, good or bad, by the party, then you stand firm. So really, it's a balance of the two again. But we are seeing this for the first time. Never has it happened since 2013 that a party would attempt to recall one of their own. So that's a thumbs up for ODM. If it has nothing else to do with Obado's stand in as far as being manipulated by the party is concerned.
But obviously we are hearing of intimidation coming from some of the MCAs, including the Speaker of Migori County. Just wondering, really, is it possible for really a political party to take a position? Yes, give guidance to the members of that party, but leave out politics of violence out of the mix?
Yeah, but the assembly is supposed to work independent of any intimidation, independent of any force, independent of any guidance from anybody else, because it's an oversight authority. Mm-hmm. And remember that the apex oversight authority is vested on the county assembly, not on the parties that nominate people to the county assembly. And that is something that the MCAs must be clear of. Of course, if they think that the party will start throwing in threats to them, what is important to politicians is holding their seats, not what they do for the people.
Right. Of course, Governor will continue this conversation shortly, but I want us now to take a look at some of the stories that are making headlines today. Of course, what you're following for you being Tuesday. We know that this afternoon, the senators are expected back in the House to continue the conversation around the revenue sharing formula. We know that a 12-member committee that had been established by the Senate a few weeks ago has failed to reach a consensus, and therefore means that they have not agreed on the fate of the formula, but there are those reports that we are receiving that there are instructions to withdraw all amendments that had been tabled before the House and instead go ahead with the committee's report, the Finance Committee's report of that had been agreed upon by the team earlier on. We also know that today the governor of Tharaka Nithi, Muthomi Njuki, is expected in court after spending the night at the EACC headquarters. We know that he's facing charges of the expenditure of 34.9 million shillings, and the allegations are that he might have had some personal benefit with some of his family members involved or said to be involved in that situation. We're also following the arrest of the Member of Parliament from Emurua Dikir, that is Johanna Ngeno, who was arrested yesterday and had spent some time at Emurua Dikir police station and later transferred to Narok. We understand that he is accused of incitement and ethnic contempt in some sentiments that he uttered in a meeting on Sunday. So those are some of the stories that we're following for you, but so many more that will be developing. And now back to the conversation around the governors and graft. And of course, we know that there has been those very many allegations of graft-related issues. And I understand that you now have Gladys Wanga, the woman representative for Homa Bay County. Good morning, Honorable. And we're talking with the first governor of Kiambu, William Kabogo, about the situation that we are seeing with the governors. I know we spoke about this sometimes last week, but now I want to ask you specifically of a county that comes from the same region as yourself, that is Migori County. We are seeing some of the MCAs saying that they are being intimidated by the party officials, some of them saying that they are being threatened with violence, including Speaker Bozo Koth. Would you know the reality on the ground, and how far is the party in pushing this agenda in Migori?
Thank you, Sam, and thank you for having me this morning. The issue of Migori is, as you saw, the party held consultations with the MCAs from Migori County, and they agreed, in fact, on the suggestion of the MCAs to have Governor Obado impeached. If there's been any threats, in fact, of violence, has been from supporters of Governor Okoth Obado telling the MCAs that they would have to impeach Governor Obado from somewhere else other than from the County Assembly of Migori, in Migori Town. So the threats of violence have actually been coming from supporters of Governor Obado rather than from the ODM party, because it doesn't make any sense for ODM to threaten MCAs with violence while ODM actually supports their move to impeach Governor Obado. So I do not think there's any threat, and if there's any, I think any such threat should be reported to the police so that appropriate action is taken against those making those threats, because people could be making threats in the name of the party you know, without knowledge of the party. So if anybody has been threatened, they should make a report to the police. But the last I heard, threats are actually coming from supporters of Governor Obado telling the MCAs that they cannot go ahead with impeaching Governor Obado in the Migori County Assembly, that they should impeach him either from Nairobi or elsewhere. And that is unacceptable, because the County Assembly must be allowed to perform its duties without undue influence from any source.
Right, and Governor Kabogo, you've been at the helm in Kiambu for a whole 5 years or nearly 5 years, and we are seeing a trend that these people that are being accused of swindling county money, they are also linked to their families benefiting financially. Just how possible is it from the point of view of a governor to really use resources to your advantage? Yet we know of what happens, that there is already an IFMI system that is supposed to manage resources. There's already a proper and elaborate procurement procedure that is supposed to happen. How do people get to bend the law to their advantage?
It is just being silly, I think, simply. Because really, how do you award a contract to your own son, to your daughter, to your brother, transfer money to their schools, wherever it is that they go to school? Really, that is impunity, and it must be dealt with now. because it's becoming a trend. You know, MPs would hate to hear me say this, but the behavior, the attitude around CDF, because most of these people have had to be MPs. I mean, they've been MPs before. And you know, hardly are they audited, because the Auditor General will not be able to deal with issues of MPs because they will bring you to the House. So really, so they think what it is that they do every other time at the CDF level is what they will do at the government, county government level. And they're in for a big shock, because what you're seeing is just a tip of the iceberg. There is more coming. And you know, it's just simple impunity. I'm happy that God helped me when I was in office. I did not do any of those things.
And
but
I'm
it's
looking...
unfortunate, and it should be dealt with. And people must remove politics from theft. Because when money is traced right from the county government treasury to your personal friends, to your family, to yourself, that is taking advantage of your position. And also those that facilitate the governor or CFOs and all county officials who do these things, they should be brought to book.
Right, and I'm looking at the front page of the Daily Nation today. 8 governors on graft hit list. You're looking at Governor Anne Waiguru, Governor Ali Korani of Garissa, Charity Ngilu of Kitui, Amason Kingi of Kilifi, Elgeyo Marakwet's Alex Tolgoz, the Governor of Marsabit, Mohamud Ali, Bungoma's Wycliffe Wangamati, and Mwangi Wairia of Murang'a County. And I want to bring you in on this, Honorable Wanga. So if the precedence that is being set, that has already been set in the courts is to follow, looking at all these people, yes, you're innocent until proven guilty, but if precedence is to be followed, then they might have to be blocked from accessing their offices. Do you think that will have an impact on the service delivery, despite the fact that we know that the deputy governors can actually act in their position?
I think it will definitely have an effect on service delivery. Once a governor is out of office, there is then a problem when it comes to service delivery. I mean, we will say that service delivery will go on uninterrupted, but in many cases, governors, you know, put the counties together and are the ones who have the vision for which they were elected. So there is definitely going to be an interruption in service delivery, but at the same time, graft must be fought. So, you know, we are between a rock and a hard place. So I think the agencies that are fighting graft must continue to do their work, but they must be expeditious so that, you know, so that they finish as soon as possible, so that even if there is service interruption, it is not perpetual, it is not forever. So to bring the governors to court, first of all, I think they must have watertight cases, so that we are not having cases where governors will go to court, they will step aside, and then the cases will not hold water to the very end. And once that happens, they should also be expeditious in finishing with the cases. Okay, of course, I will continue to monitor this situation as it unfolds. And I want to take a short break here, but stay on the line. Governor Kabogo and Honorable Wanga will shortly be joined by the 2 women representatives from Kiambu as well as Uasin Gishu to continue the conversation, but specifically we'll be talking about the county's cash crunch that we experience as a country at the moment. We know that the Council of Governors will be speaking to the nation later this afternoon to give their state of affairs, but they have already threatened that they're going to shut down the government in 9 days' time now.